welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 6th of October 2023. It's a very underemployed Gary here again, and I just wanted to start what is sure to be a very upbeat pod this week with the news that, I actually forgot to mention this last week or even just over the previous weeks, that today marks our 150th NARSA Weekly Update podcast. 150 episodes. Young today, or whatever the term should be for that. And with that, I did a wee bit of a check on the stats last night, and we almost have 18,000 downloads in that 150 shows. So that's absolutely fantastic. You know what the funny thing is? I can still remember getting things organised for the first pod back in December 2020, and here we are close to 3 years on and still at it, you know, religiously every single week. I think that's kind of cool, isn't it? And coincidentally, for those who are subscribers to and regular listeners of the Heart and Hand Daily Update, you'll probably know that just this last week they celebrated their 1500th Daily Update episode too. So that's kind of nice that we got to celebrate this significant milestone in the same week as well. So what better way to celebrate a couple of significant milestones than to score 8 goals and concede just the one, as we enjoyed both League and League Cup success in the space of 5 days for our wonderful club. I don't know about you folks, but this new manager, he just couldn't have started any better if he tried, could he? And not just with the results, but just with the general feeling around the club and the club as a whole, you know, around the team and the club as a whole. What an incredible turnaround we've enjoyed over this past month or so, and it honestly feels like we're just getting started. You know, you maybe saw yesterday on social media that an interview with John Lundstrom afterwards, and he was like a kid in the candy store, as they would say over here. He was just absolutely delighted, you know, and just talking about, like, gushing about how upbeat things are, how things have turned around, how great the manager is with everyone, not just the first team, but everyone around the place, and just an absolute massive difference. And just in preparation for recording today, I typically always just look at the Rangers website one last time just to make sure that I haven't missed anything material that might be interesting for anyone who's listening. And just looking at the headlines, not the articles in and of themselves, but just the headlines on today's news section on the Rangers website, and you've got, 434, something like that. The first one I noticed, Clement, a team full of leaders. The second one, Tavernier, squad is going from strength to strength. Third one, Leon Balogun challenges Rangers to continue momentum. The fourth one, Butland full of praise for Gers squad. You know, when was the last time we had such positivity truly spreading through the club? You know, probably during the Europa League run last year, I think is probably the time. But even then, there was still that little bit of lamenting because we were behind in the league, and it was quite unrealistic that we were going to win the league at that point. But we were thoroughly enjoying the European run. But just that, you know, just every single article is just about upbeat positivity, progress, and a winning mentality, and long may it continue. So onto the game segment for this week. Our first game was, of course, last Wednesday's delayed and then delayed again 5-0 trouncing of Dundee at Dens Park, and it really was 5-0 going on 8 or 9 or maybe even double figures, and we enjoyed 5 different goal scorers, of course, and yes, goals. You'll sit down for this one, and really good goals at that, by the way, from Sam Lammers and Cyril Dessers as well, with the others coming from Ryan Jack, Danilo and James Tavernier. And there was obviously drama at the beginning with the bus speed. Well, I guess even before the bus being late, there was drama in terms of, with such bad weather back home there, is the pitch going to be playable, and is it going to be safe for people to travel to and from the game? Then it was confirmed, you know, with a few hours to go, I think it was, that the game was indeed going to go ahead. And then the Rangers bus is late. And interestingly, just in one of the post-match interviews, Philippe Clement had said that they had to get 2 buses from the training centre. So I don't know if they had a bus challenge or a breakdown, or I don't know, or maybe it just got a bit mixed up. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, there was drama with the bus being late, and then the game delayed for an hour, and then as soon as the game starts, and we started really well, Danilo got right in, right at the very kick-off, then our fans, for whatever reason, decided to put on their pyrotechnic display and disrupt the game even further. And at the time, or maybe just actually probably just after the game, there was some stories around about Dundee looking to have the game abandoned completely. It's something to do with we're not allowed to go past a certain time, we're not allowed to have the lights on past a certain time or something like that. But there was also, and I don't know if this is a rumour or not, but I kind of got it from a semi-reliable source, that they were actually talking about even trying to get Dundee awarded the 3 points for a victory, because the delays were on our side. The delays were on the Rangers bus and the challenges with the travel to the game, and then the Rangers fans, of course, with the pyrotechnic display. I don't know. Talk about clutching at straws. It's most likely because they had a sense of what was going to happen in the game. That's the way that I see it anyway. But it was an absolutely brilliant Rangers performance, executed with energy, with passion, with drive, focus as well, and we just didn't stop. And I honestly, I can't ask for more of the team, to be honest. I say quite a lot in this pod that if we do our jobs, if everyone does their job in the squad, then we will win the majority of games. The only ones that we wouldn't win would be against the East End mob, and it's starting to prove out here now. And Philippe Clement just seems to have this innate understanding of who should be where, what type and style of role they should be playing within the game, and how to get the best out of the players. And he's animated on the side, he's still coaching from the side as well, and it's just so great. It's fantastic just not to see this stoic figure on the side just kind of looking as if, well, that's a surprise, I didn't really expect that, and not doing anything about it. He's quite an active manager as well, and I love to see that on the sidelines. So positives from this result, the result of course, and the performance overall. Everyone who played their part put in a shift and did really well. Special mention for Jack Butland's superb double stop when it was just 2-0 at the time, and it saved us any potential nervy drama towards the end of the game. And it was brilliant, especially for the first one, because the first one I think it was swerving and then it took a wicked deflection. He makes the save, kind of looks, possibly like he spilled it, but that's not what happened when you see the replay. And then the second one, instinctively up just to make a brilliant save, and that's demoralising for the opposition team as well, where they're like, man, every time we get a chance, there's this guy that we have to beat as well. So he's fast creating a fantastic reputation for himself in the Scottish game here, and long may that continue for us as well. And then, as I mentioned earlier, both Sam Lammers and Cyril Dessers scoring great goals and getting some great accolades and plaudits from the visiting fans as well. As I've mentioned before, we don't want to boo anyone, but when things are difficult for us and you've got a couple of players who are just not hitting the heights at all, it becomes a bit of a toxic culture or a toxic atmosphere as well. And just another positive was the overall solidness of the game from start to restart to until the end. It's just superb watching. And great to see Liam Balogun in as well, Kieran Dowell getting some minutes, and Cifuentes getting some game time as well. So all positives really. On the negative side, nothing really, honestly. The only thing that was mildly annoying was the delay after the initial kick-off, with the pyrotechnics. I don't know. It's just not when it interferes with the game. I think it looks nice and it's kind of fun and I guess maybe a bit of a laugh for the boys and girls back home. But when it interferes with the game, that's a bit of a pest. Anyway, the stats say we had 68% possession. We had 19 shots on goal with 11 on target. Back to it could have been 8 or 9. And then they had 7 shots on goal with 4 on target as well, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't recall 4 being on target, but who knows. Anyway, on the referee watch, I thought Kevin Clancy did okay actually, and I think I've said that a couple of times in this last while now, so I don't know what's going on, but he did have, I think actually Tom Miller mentioned that was the first league game that he'd taken of Rangers, so maybe we had him in a previous cup game or something like that, or maybe I'm thinking about the end of last season, I'm not sure, but he did have some kind of testing circumstances to deal with, of course, at the beginning of the game with the delay and then the pyrotechnics, but overall I think he handled it competently, and I thought if I'm going to be critical, I thought he was a wee bit quick to book Liam Balogun because I thought Balogun was actually fouled before he fouled the other guy. But other than that, I didn't think he was a massive influence on the game, either positively or negatively. And he'll even get the credit with an assist of sorts when he got into the Dundee players' way for what turned out to be Dessers' goal. So for that, he's going to get an 8 out of 10 this week. Thanks very much, Mr. Clancy, and you keep doing what you're doing. That'll do me just nicely. Our second game was Sunday's 3-1 win against Hearts at Hampden in the semi-final of the League Cup, of course, meaning that we now have a cup final to look forward to on the 17th of December. And I just saw a note before I started recording here today. I'm recording very early on a Monday. I'm going to try and do that from now on. It's 9:27am right now. And I've just got it confirmed before that the game is confirmed for a 3pm kickoff back home on the 17th as well. So we here in Calgary are going to apply for an early bar licence and really go to town on the party for that particular game. But anyway, back to the game in and of itself. We had 2 goals from Captain Fantastic James Tavernier. He's doing fantastically well right now, and the second goal especially, geez, that was a peach. And then we got another brilliant goal from Scott Wright, who is this guy actually going to prove everyone wrong, and Philippe Clement is going to get a player out of this guy. We've seen flashes of it over the years that he's been with us, but I thought he was on his way out over to Turkey this past close season, and he played well when he came on yesterday. I have to say, credit where it's due. I can't complain about any of that for me. But last week I'd said something along the lines of, the results are good, but we haven't seen a significant enough improvement in the team. But I'm pleased that we're still grinding out the results, or whatever it was I said. But I have to say, you know what? After this week, I'm very, very happy to be eating my words on that. The team just look sharper, they look stronger, they look faster, they look fitter, they look hungrier than they have been kind of in years probably, and it's incredible to think that this is the same team. This is the same players that we were kind of, belying us to tears about a month or so ago when Michael Beale's reign was coming to an end. I did miss the first part of the game as we had a wee bit of technical difficulties at Pin Bar here in Calgary, a wee bit of drama, but by all accounts I didn't really miss too much at the beginning, and I thought we were in total control of the entire game from start to finish. Yes, Hearts did come to frustrate us, but this time we didn't give up the early goal, which is key, and yes, of course, Jack Butland made a couple of brilliant saves. Again, like what a find this guy has been, but we just didn't stop, and it could and should have looked a lot more comfortable than the 2-goal victory. Such was the golfing class between the teams. I kind of joked at the end when Clement went over to Naismith and he kind of talked to him for, it seemed like an extended, it wasn't just the usual I'll see you inside or whatever. And I was saying to the folks in the pub, he's probably saying, I bet this feels a wee bit better than last week though, if you're looking at it from a glass half full perspective. He's just a wee runt, Naismith. Anyway, so we thoroughly deserve a spot in the final, and I cannot wait for a big party on Trophy Lifting Day on the 17th of next month. I can say with confidence now, as I am confident Big Phil is going to have them schooled and disciplined for the game, so I'm confident that we're going to win this trophy now. But we do have 5 league games, and the second half of our Europa League games, all 3 of them, between now and Cup Final Day, so that's a lot of football to play. A lot of things can happen in that time as well, and of course we're going to be playing Aberdeen. I think it must be away because they beat us at Ibrox there. We're going to play Aberdeen away, as well as concluding our European League campaign, which is the Thursday before the Cup Final as well, away in Seville to Betis. So we'll park the Cup Final for now, and Clement has already kind of talked about that, and we'll forget about it until it's time to get the buzz going again. But there is a lot of football to be played, so that's a lot of time in the legs, that's a lot of potential for injuries if you're looking at it in a negative sense, or it's a lot more time to bond and gel as a squad and a team and continue this fabulous momentum that we have right now. Who knows what position we'll be in come Cup Final time. Positives from the game, the result, of course. Semi-finals are always kind of awkward, aren't they? And so you're just looking to get the result because nobody will ever really remember the semi-final. And we do have a final to look forward to, and once again, we're back to enjoying our wonderful captain, James Tavernier. He put in an absolute masterclass of a performance yesterday, didn't he? Including 2 goals, with the showpiece one that I mentioned a wee bit earlier, there being the brilliant free kick to that basically sealed the deal for us, didn't it, to get us to the final. But even the penalty that he took, obviously having taken 2 penalties against the exact same goalkeeper last week, and the goalkeeper stood absolutely still, thinking, if you're going to put this up the middle again, I'm going to save it. Nope, Tav just smashed it into the top corner. He's just, the variety that he has in his penalty taking and the confidence that he has is absolutely fabulous. In time, we might find out what Michael Beale did to completely confuse and demoralise our squad, and James Tavernier was one of the guys that seemed to suffer a wee bit more than most, and possibly because he's a captain, he's got a wee bit more spotlight on him, or who knows, he's a mood player potentially, maybe, I'm not sure, but he is enjoying a new lease of life now under Philippe Clement and is playing absolutely at the top of his game. So just more of that, please, Tav. You are an absolutely magnificent asset to the team when you're playing like that. Other positives, seeing Tom Lawrence back was great. It's a couple of times I've said that now this season. Let's make it for a bit longer this time, please, Tom. And an appearance for Dujon Sterling as well at right back. I think we were keeping a wee bit of an eye on Thursday's game against Sparta, and also the opportunity for Tav to probably get a wee bit of a appreciation from the crowd as well. Philippe Clement knows what he's doing in terms of this bond between the fans and the team as well. Negatives, honestly, the only thing I thought was a negative from the game was losing the goal for their penalty. I really wanted the clean sheet, I did, but other than that, it was another really solid performance. The stats say we had 57% possession, which I thought was a wee bit low. But again, maybe they had a lot of possession in that first 10-15 minutes that I missed when I was in the media room trying to get the TV to work. But it says we had 16 shots on goal with 9 on target. And they had, it says in the stats on the Rangers website, it says that they had 0 shots on goal but 5 on target. So that doesn't make any sense, because that would be 5 and 5 or something like that. Or is it 0 off target and 5 on target? Maybe, is that the way it is? I can't quite remember now, but I just read out what it says there. But maybe it was 5 shots overall, and every single one of them were on target. Who cares about what Hearts did anyway? On the referee watch, Nick Walsh did almost everything that he had to do. I thought he called our penalty superbly well, expertly well, because I didn't originally think it was a penalty. I thought we were just a wee bit behind on that. But with the use of VAR, he called it, well, obviously VAR ratified the decision very quickly, and then with the use of VAR, he actually called theirs right as well. He didn't call it right in the first place, of course. He saved the fellow from a red card, but he originally had did it, and I thought he called that one right, But then when you see the replay, there's the faintest of touches. The guy's leg kind of flies up in the air, of course, like people are wont to do now. So there was a wee bit of that. But the only gripe I have from a refereeing perspective for Walsh from yesterday is the now very, very obvious, to me anyway, different refereeing standards that are being applied to Todd Cantwell. It's getting ridiculous. He's the new Alfredo Morelos, and his booking yesterday I thought was a joke. I thought it was disgraceful. I don't know if he's a mouthpiece on the park or if the refs are upset with his social media presence or what, but he's very, very obviously being refereed to a completely different set of rules and standards than the rest of the players, and that's, as I say, that's disgusting. I hate that, and infuriating as well. So because of that, I'm going to give Mr. Walsh a 5 out of 10 and ask that he and his colleagues in the referee room get their heads out of their jacksies and enjoy having someone of that calibre in our game, entertaining our fans as well. Leave the guy alone. See, before Alfie, maybe somebody can tell me about this if you get a chance, but was there anyone else that we had before that was want to be picking up bookings for things that really shouldn't have been bookings? The last one I can remember is Paul Gascoigne, but that's decades ago. But I don't know if this is an actual thing that we always typically have one player who seems to get it all the time. I remember Rino Gattuso back in the day used to do that, but he ran around like a basket case half the time, just booting everyone till they got booked, and then he would settle down and play a brilliant game. So yeah, I'm not sure, maybe somebody could let me know if this is an actual theme that we have, where there's always one player who seems to be targeted a wee bit more than most, but it's annoying, I don't like it, and it better stop pretty quickly. Anyway, 2 games this week, our 4th game in the Europa League, and then another important league game against another team from East Lothian as well. The first one is Sparta Prague on Thursday, and that's November the 9th, and that's a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. That's 8 p.m. UK, and I think I mentioned before, this is a massive tie for us. If we get a result here and assume that Betis take care of Limassol, and then the group qualification is very, very much within our hands, because the next again game would be against Limassol, and then we would be in a position, if we win that, to have secure qualification going to Spain, and then we maybe don't exert ourselves too much 4 days before a cup final. Who knows, don't want to think too far ahead, but we saw enough from Rangers in the second half of the previous game in Prague that we can beat this team if we continue to do what Philippe Has is doing. So fingers crossed for that one. And the second one is away to Livingston on Sunday the 12th of November, and that's a 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. That's noon UK. It's never an easy game to go to Livingston, and sometimes, most times quite honestly, the games are dire to watch, but it's kind of unusual for Livingston, especially under David Martindale, that they've suffered 4 league defeats in a row and are now second bottom of the league, albeit they're only 2 points behind Aberdeen, who are in 7th. So it's not, I don't think it's panic stations for them or anything like that, but I'm sure they'll be looking at our game on the weekend as the perfect opportunity to get back on track and onto the points trail. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Rangers, we need to keep this good feeling going. For RTV, we are in the process of paying RTV their first instalment payment for the season. I had a bit of dialogue with the folks at RTV for that on the weekend, and then we also did have a bit of an experience where something seems to be funky going on for the folks at Bramalea as well. So we've connected RTV with Fraser over at Bramalea, and hopefully they can get that figured out. They're going to do a wee bit of real-time testing on the next live match day, which will probably be Sunday. In fact, it will be Sunday for them, of course, because Thursday's on DAZN or Paramount Plus over here. So hopefully Fraser and the boys and girls over there get it all sorted out. So on the shout outs, I am kind of pleased that this is not as sad or disappointing or emotional as last week's shout outs. Last week was heavy, wasn't it? But I just want to once again to reiterate a huge congratulations to everyone at Heart and Hand for their incredible achievement of getting to the 1500 daily update shows. It's my personal staple diet of Rangers content on weekdays. They put it out Monday to Friday, and I know it is enjoyed by thousands of Blue Noses across the world as well. I've been fortunate enough to be a guest on the show a few times over the years, and I know firsthand the amount of work that David Edgar and all the boys and girls over there put in to this incredible Rangers platform. So if for some reason you don't know who Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast, are, if you go and visit Heart and Hand, and is the word and AND, heartandhand.co.uk, you can check it out there. You can see who's who in the zoo. You can see whether you'd be interested in subscribing. They do a couple of free shows each week as well from a podcast perspective, if you're interested in just kind of trying before you buy. But it's absolutely value for money over there. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. So I look at the little blurb on their email that says 1500 shows today, and I was like, oh, that's incredible, because we've got 150 coming up next week. So I messaged David saying, so you're at 1500 and we're at 150, does that make you guys 100 times better than us? There's a bit of a pause, and then David gets back saying, Gary, 1500 is not 100 times 150. To which I replied, of course, congratulations, you passed the mathematics test, you're very, very smart. Yeah, I got my numbers a wee bit confused. They are 10 times better than us, I guess, in volume of numbers at the very least. But the fantastic shows over there. David's a great guy, a good friend, and as are a lot of the podders over there as well. So go check that out if you would like. In terms of the convention update, we did get the second proposal just very late last week on, or maybe it was on the weekend, on from the second property, which is Omni. So we now have two proposals to look at, very high level preliminary proposals. So typically what we do is we get a high level proposal, and then if we decide to go down the path of drafting contracts, we would then get draft contracts, and that's when we get into the devil of the details and get into the nitty gritty of what it is we're trying to do. So we did get the second one from the Omni resort as well. So we now have a bit of a comparative analysis to take care of. I did contact Greg at Rangers yesterday, Greg McCallum, that is the head of partnerships, to say I've taken a look at it, some cursory overviews or some cursory opinions, I guess, on the content there, and gave him a wee bit of a lay of the land as to where we're at, and also requested that we get an opportunity to chat with these folks at some point, hopefully this week, maybe next week, something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but things are moving along, so I think we'll see quite a bit of momentum happening here in November, and who knows, maybe by the end of the month we might have a signed contract. I say that a bit hesitantly, one because of my recent experience with New York, but more so we haven't partnered with Rangers like this before, so that we're going to have to put some sort of memorandum of understanding in place between ourselves and Rangers, and then who signs the contract? Is it me on behalf of NARSA? Is it Greg on behalf of Rangers? Is there a joint signature of some description? We need to kind of figure that part out. And then when lawyers get involved, things tend to go a little bit slower, so who knows what that looks like. But of course I will keep you updated each week as we move forward, but hopefully we'll get a wee bit of momentum going on that, as I say, in the next wee while. On to the communication section for this week on the Gers Guide. I'm going to give you Mondays now because I'm recording it early today. I'm not sure when we'll actually get it out because Chris, who does all the packaging and intro and outro music and stuff like that, is actually in London, England right now. So he's on UK time and he's at a conference, so his timing might be a wee bit different, but I'll get it into his hands and see if he can get it out for us today. But anyway, on Rangers TV we have Away Days, which chronicles the Hampden experience against Hearts yesterday, and there's also the B team press conference and training video as well. Tomorrow on Tuesday we have the B team playing against Airdrie, and that's in the SPFL Trust Trophy, and I believe is that one, I think that's for a space in the quarter final, so this must be the third or fourth round of that trophy. I'm not exactly sure of the makeup of the trophy, but it is for a place in the quarter final. Wednesday we have the Sparta Prague press conference, and then there's also an interview on Rangers TV with Archie Stevens, who has just been called up to England's under 17 squad for the pending FIFA under 17 World Cup. So that's kind of exciting for him. So it'd be good to hear what he's got to say. On Thursday, of course, we have the Rangers versus Sparta Prague game with an 8 PM UK kickoff. On Friday, we have the press conference for Livingston, and then we also have Joe Potter interview for the Boroughmuir Thistle game as well. On Saturday, I typically don't mention some of the kind of little fluff pieces on Rangers TV, but I thought this one was kind of cool, that there's a piece going out on Saturday on Rangers TV for Ryan Kent, and it's called All the Goals Ryan Kent is the series. So it'd be good to look back on Kent's journey with his, because he did score some crackers, and some of them were very, very important goals as well. So maybe take a look for that. And on the same day, there's a interview with Rangers women's team defender Michelle Coulson, who did score our first goal for the club there on the weekend's win against Spartans as well. So it's always good to hear from the women as well. And then on Sunday, of course, we have Rangers versus Livingston, early kick-off for us here in North America, and then we have the Rangers women's team against Boroughmuir Thistle in the Scottish Power Women's Premier League, and that's a 4 PM kick-off, and that's over at Broadwood Stadium again there. Speaking of Heart and Hand, I know I've said here probably over the last month or so that we do have 2 tickets for the live show on December the 1st at 7 PM at Edmiston House. We need to get moving on that to make sure that we know who the tickets are going to go to. So I have been chatting with the comms folks, and I do owe them a couple of dates where we can actually get together to strategise some communication strategies going forward. Strategise some strategies, I think that's probably par for the course, isn't it? And so we'll get that out. We'll definitely get that out this week. We'll get something out on social media. I was kind of laughing when I went onto the Rangers website today. If you were on social media last week, you might have seen this K-pop band, the Korean pop band Stay C is what they're called, and they were in I think it was Houston or I think it was or Dallas. I think it was Dallas. Yeah, Dallas, and they they thought they were celebrating the Texas Rangers getting to the World Series, but they actually, but they actually had the Rangers retro tops on from the 1996-97 season, which was our 9-in-a-row season. You'll remember that, of course. And so we had a bit of a laugh about that, because they've obviously said to their management, "Oh, if the Rangers are there, then let's put some Rangers shirts on." And then two of them had these, they kind of crop topped them and all that sort of thing. So that's just hilarious, man, hilarious. So they're actually going to be at Edmiston House today. So by the time you listen to this, they'll be long gone. But I think they did a bit of a stop there. There's going to be a bit of a meet and greet, and then they're heading down to Wembley to do some sort of Korean K-pop festival or something like that, I think it said on the article. So just kind of fun to see. If you open up the Rangers website, go to the news section, you'll see the two lassies there with their tops on, and a wee bit of a mistake, but a mistake that ends up working out well for us. And kudos to the club, by the way, for jumping on that and inviting them over to say, look, come down here. It doesn't do anything bad for the marketing in Korea, of course, or Asia in general, but also just to kind of have some sort of linkage to the external world, external to football worldwide as well. I always remember years ago, this must be coming up for about maybe 10, but probably about 7 or 8 years ago, when Patrick Dempsey, the actor, had walked out somewhere in a Rangers shirt, and his two kids had Rangers shirts on as well. And we tried, at the behest of the club, to contact Patrick to say, look, where did you get them from? Like, what's the significance of this? Would you like to, in some way, help us promote the brand globally? But when it just fell on deaf ears, we never got a chance to do that, which was too bad, because that was another opportunity. I'm sure now with James Bisgrove and his contacts and his tenacity as well, he'd probably have been able to make it happen. But yeah, good for the club for doing that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about this week was, you might have seen an article that jumped onto the Rangers website on Saturday, I believe it was, and it was just kind of chronicling a little bit of the Kissimmee, recent trip to Kissimmee and the journey that we've gone on right now. I was kind of thinking it might have been a wee bit more in depth in terms of the content, but it was basically just saying we had a trip there, or members of the club had a trip there, of course, with us. I gave you all the details of that. The exploratory trip with key members of the partnership and events team, that was of course Greg and Natalie, to scout the area, look at potential venues for the NARSA convention in 2025, the first step in the partnership. And then they go on to talk about the activations. That's the word that they were using that weekend as well, and we had a bit of a laugh on it on the WhatsApp group, where they kept saying activations. I think they said activations 3 times in Kissimmee, and what they mean by activations is just like an interaction, like it's us agreeing the contract is there and then just actually working into and performing to the contract in and of itself. But yeah, kind of light on details. I thought it might have been a wee bit more in depth, but it gave you a wee bit of an idea of some of the things that are happening from a Rangers and Kissimmee perspective, and the naming rights for the fan zone and things like that. But if you go take a peek at that, I was going to read it out, but the pod's going a wee bit long today, so I won't bother. But go check it out, and there should be more to follow once we select a preferred destination property as well. Okay, that will do it for this week, my friends. As always, thank you very, very, very much for taking the time to listen, and please do share it with anyone that you think might enjoy it, and we'll get those downloads up, and we will continue to march on to the next 150. Until next week, I think it's just more of the same from Rangers, isn't it, to give us a real shot for European qualification to the knockout stages and more success in the league. So until next week, please do take care of yourself, and all the very best, folks. Okay, cheerio now.